name is Sarah. I'm 28 years old. I am in charge of general affairs of a large trading company. My boyfriend is John. We've been dating for 8 years, and he's 2 years older than me. We started to save some money since we were thinking of getting married a few years ago. He finally proposed to me on my birthday. I wish we were in a nice restaurant with some nice meal and a glass of wine, and John suddenly snaps his fingers. The waiter dimmed the lights and... In reality, we just went on camping, one of our favorite activities, and his soup was simmering on the fire in front of us. And I was drinking my favorite alcohol. And when the wood crackled from the fire, John pulled out a small box and said, "Here." What exactly is this? A ring. A ring? Yes, let's get married. Isn't it time to get it right? All right, everything's settled. Good. Cheers. I was quite drunk at the time. Looking back, I wish I could have done more, but we were not the type of couple who would be suited to such a celebrity-like marriage proposal. Perhaps this type of marriage proposal would have been appropriate for us. John came to my parents' house to greet them after the marriage proposal. I'm so nervous. Consider this your first challenge and give it your all. It's for us. But next time it will be your turn. I'm ready for it. I'm going to see you as an example. You are so brave. You should hate yourself for falling in love. Look, we're almost there. Okay then, let's go for it. It's okay to be enthusiastic, but you should also dress well. Here's your tie. I straightened out his tie and tightened it for him. Don't I look like a wife? I'm not going to tell him though. My parents live in a suburban house. Although the house is 4 bedrooms, the yard is quite large. My father loves outdoor activities, and he met my mother when he was climbing a mountain. That's why I love outdoor activities, and camping is one of my hobbies. So I think I'm from a typical family. My father has retired, but he still works at a relative's company. I joined the company with great enthusiasm, but they don't give me any work. And I get paid for this, so my life must be easy and happy, right? He said. Well, both of my parents are in good health, and I tell myself that it's a good thing that they're happy. When I arrived home, both of my parents greeted me at the door. It's nice to meet you. My name is John. John was still nervous, and he sputtered out his own name. I would like to get married with Sarah, he insisted. I fell in love with him once more. John, are you sure you're not going to regret? My father asked. If you're okay with it, go ahead. He laughed. My father has always been this way. Sarah's getting married, my mother added. I was furious. What are my parents on about? John was relieved, and we came just to say hello. But instead, we were asked to have dinner together and stay the night. When my mother called John's house to say that we would be staying at our house, John's father answered the phone. Thank you for your kindness, but no. I'm afraid there might be some extra charges later on, he said. I've heard that John's father was the president of a large corporation. Extra charges? My mother responded. I am the company's president, and John is my son. There are a lot of people begging for money from me, and I'm in a lot of trouble. I don't want him to involve with beggars. So, you're saying we're poor people who beg for money? My mother's voice was angry. I'm saying there's a possibility. I see what you're saying. I'll then tell John to go home. Certainly, please do so. He hung up the phone shortly after that. Who does he think he is? My mother was enraged. What happened? I politely invited John to stay, but his father refused, saying, "You're asking me for money." Then John came and apologized, saying, "I am sorry. My parents were duped once, so they frequently doubt people's goodwill." There's no need to apologize for. From now on, you can gradually build a good relationship with them. Today was a good day for me. Please take excellent care for Sarah. John apologized, and my father patted him on the shoulder. John left without staying the night. John's father's true personality was unknown to me at the time. And now it's my turn. John's father was a successful businessman who had made a fortune in his own lifetime. With his excellent management skills, he was the one who took over his parents' small iron works and grew it into a large-scale machinery manufacturer. Of course, his family home is also opulent. Despite being a private residence, it is a 3-story reinforced concrete structure surrounded on all sides by high walls. I was speechless when shown such a magnificent home. You got nervous this time, John remarked lightly. John gives a light chuckle. Isn't it natural? I'd be nervous as well. We're right there. You should look after your appearance. Thank you very much. With getting nervous, I entered the house, greeted my mother-in-law, who welcomed me, and was led to the guest room. My father-in-law was sitting there. He told me to take a seat, and I did so in front of him. Hello, it's nice to meet you. I am Sarah. John and I are getting married. I'm Jordan, John's father. Thank you for coming so far today. Please put yourself at ease. Thank you kindly. John's father, whom I had never met before, looked like he's in the bad mood. I'll get right to it. What is your purpose? What do you mean? I'm the CEO of a large corporation. As you can see, I have a lot of advantages. I'm wondering if that's your intention. I was surprised. Intention? The purpose of the marriage is that I love John, but I never imagined that he would devise an oblique purpose on his own. No way, I have no such thoughts. But, excuse me, what does your parents do? My father has already retired, and he has returned to my cousin's company to work. I'm not sure what he's up to, but he's doing well. My mother is a stay-at-home mom and is doing well. John's father became agitated hearing this. I furrowed my brow. I see. But from what I've heard, it doesn't sound like a particularly prosperous life. What do you do, by the way? I work as a general affairs manager for a larger trading company in Tokyo. You can't expect much progress in general affairs. Oh, well, that's correct. So you intend to rely on John and me after you marry? Huh? I made an unintentional strange sound at the way he said it. What on earth is this father on about? My thoughts shifted here. I had lost interest in greeting him friendly and courteous manner. What exactly do you mean? It means exactly what I said. You're going to flirt with my rich son to get on his good side because your family is poor, aren't you? Your parents also want money so that their son can have fun in their old age. He's insulting not only me, but also my parents. I couldn't bear listening to him. What the hell is going on? I screamed. He went too far for making fun of someone. My face began to flush. Dad, that's not true. No matter how much you say, her parents were wonderful people. They greeted me with kindness when I went to greet them. They're not the type of people who would consider taking a job or relying on you. But that was insufficient for his father. Shut up! You're such a naive little boy. I'll look after you here. Then listen to me. I cut them off in their conversation. You say we're poor? I interrupted. We are not wealthy in comparison to this house, but we can have standard life. And please don't say anything bad about my parents. They have my respect, and they are wonderful parents. Oh, Sarah, please calm down. John became frustrated with my swordplay and attempted to intervene. But John's father ignored him. Keep your mouth shut. John's father glared at me in response to what I was saying and said, What I mean by poor is a family with less money than ours. A marriage cannot function unless both parties are on the same level, and those who do not have money will expect the wealthy to provide for them. So you'll undoubtedly do the same. Am I mistaken? You may argue that things are different now, but I know it will happen sooner or later. Something snapped in my heart when I realized his father is so judgmental. I see what you're saying. Please find a wealthy life. Please excuse me. I stood up. Please, 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 she's leaving. John and his mother were shocked, but I left without looking back. Wait a second. John yelled after me. No. What's the deal with your father? He looks down on me as if I'm a beggar. He's repulsive. John was becoming increasingly irritated with me as I snapped at him. John is upset with me, and it was getting on my nerves. My father was probably in a bad mood today. Enough! Why must you say that to me? I don't need you making fun of me. Hey, I'm not in the mood for relaxing right now. I'm sorry, but I'm just not feeling it. Today I'm going home. Please do not contact me for a while. I clung to John. I removed John's hand and walked away. John called and texted me several times, but I ignored them. I came home that day, angry, and told my parents what had happened as soon as I walked into the living room. That's terrible, my father said. Is my family really that poor? That's just terrible. John was a good man, but he's gotten even worse since the last time he called. She was extremely disappointed. So how about you? Are you ready to leave John? I still love John and hope to marry him. I see. Why don't you think for a little before going back to see him? If things continue to be complicated, I'll go. Really? Yes. For the sake of my daughter, I'll look after it. My father was kind and comforting. They don't seem to know much about us, so you should talk to them. My parents convinced me to meet John's parents once more. I contacted John and asked him to allow me to see his parents again. John was overjoyed and immediately got to work. I could now hear the start of the second round. My adversary was a formidable foe. Am I Don Quixote confronted by a massive windmill, or am I a hero of justice defeating an evil monster? On Saturday, we decided to see at John's house. If it was a decisive battle, it would have been on Friday, but it was on Saturday for me. Saturday has come. I was agitated all morning, staring at the clock, anticipating the appointed time. When the time has come, I met John and we drove to John's parents' house. When I entered the house, my father-in-law was still sitting in the guest room. "Hello, it's been a while," he said. I said hello to him. My father-in-law continued to look at me as if he was looking at something bothersome. "Why have you returned?" "My motto is I never give up." I smiled. My father-in-law's attitude was the same. "I will not change my mind no matter how many times you come, so please don't waste your time." "Yes, I see, but I won't just leave. I have my own pride." When my father-in-law heard this, he changed his attitude. "Suit yourself. Do you have anything to say to me?" I repeated the words of my marriage proposal. "Please allow me to marry John." "No, John is not going to marry a poor woman." Expected response. "We are not poor. Furthermore, are you wealthy enough to call others poor?" Now comes the counterattack. "What the hell? I took over my father's company and grew it from 20 employees to 2,000 employees, including affiliated companies." "Are you serious? How can I be poor from a great company? The sales have increased from 100 million to over 10 billion per year." "Isn't that the company's money? It's not your money, right?" "Yes, the company is large, not you." I said straightforward to him. My father-in-law began yelling at me, possibly because he had hit a nerve. "What exactly are you trying to say? Enough with the disrespect. If you want to persuade me, show me that you have more money than I do." Is money the only way to judge a person? It isn't. Money is not to measure a person. My father-in-law's voice became even louder as I responded. "That's a scumbag's line. Say it if you really want money. I'll give you that money in exchange for you to never come to my house again." That sounds like something a wealthy man would say, and it suits you. "Oh, come on, Sarah. Father, you too, please stop." John came over to stop us. "Don't say anything." "No, this is between Sarah and I to begin with." "Stop talking. I'm going to show this poor woman how wonderful I am." "I will not marry you until this is resolved." "We came here to talk about our marriage, but why is this happening?" John was holding his head. "I'd like to see your parents." "Huh? Is that the case?" "Then I'll fulfill your request. I'll bring my parents the next time I see you." "Yes, bring them to me, and I'll assess their parenting abilities. I'm sure they're just as rude as you are, because they raised such a rude daughter." Father-in-law sneered as he said this. Why someone like John was born from you? I'm sure your mother-in-law has great genes. Thank you very much, Sarah. Stepmother was overjoyed. Hey, why are you so cheerful? That's enough. We'll have a long conversation when your parents come over. I'll have a long talk with them and tell them that a daughter like you is not suited for this house. What a tirade! John, on the other hand, became enraged before I did. What a heinous thing to say! I no longer consider you to be a parent. I'm going to end the father-son relationship. So, should I divorce as well? I don't want to be with someone who says such hideous things. When I got home, I told my parents about what happened today. So you say, if you insist, I'll go see him. My father said after hearing the entire story. Yes, you should give him a good talking. I'd like to meet John's mother, however. You don't have to come. It'll be too complicated. I wanted to go. My mother began to look forward to meeting John's mother. She was so ecstatic that she imagined herself making friends with John's mother. Your pace will drive me insane. It is under my control. I'm only concerned with you. Mom pretended to cry out of frustration. By the way, what was the name of John's father again? Jordan. Jordan? When my father heard the name of Jordan, he began to twist his head. I was curious about it, so I asked my father, Do you know him? No, it's just something that's bothered me. Dad cocked his head once more. You forgot. My mother was joking. Ah, yes, that's him. That scumbag. He finally recalled. And he knew him? I was taken aback by the coincidence. What, you knew who John's father was? Yes, Sarah. Call John's father. Is next Saturday okay? That's all right. And I'm going to be late. So could you go ahead of me? What? You're not coming with me? I assumed my father would accompany me, so I was surprised to know that he would not. You know, the show star has to make an appearance at the end. I understand. I'm not sure what my father was thinking, but I decided to let him handle it. It was the day of the battle. I'm going to be a little late as I planned. I'll call you when I arrive, so just hang tight until then, he said. We came to John's house for the third time as the autumn season deepened. I arrived at John's house, briefly greeted him, and was led into the guest room. My father-in-law sat there, looked serious as usual. Hello, mother-in-law. I was looking forward to seeing you today. Hello, Sarah. I know your father is also here today. What do you think your father would like to drink? She appears to be enjoying herself. I felt a little better after seeing her. There is no need to prepare any liquor. I mean, this is the third time you've come. What a squandering of our fine liquor on a poor man. Thank you for your concern, mother-in-law, but not right now. Isn't your father with you, by the way? Did you get scared? He continues to speak to me as if he looks down on me. He's only a few minutes late because he needs to get ready. I apologize. Well, it doesn't really matter. In an irritated tone, John chastised him for his attitude. John is also in a pickle, I thought to myself. Enough of this. I'll be the one getting married. You don't need to complain. His words also did not reach my father-in-law. Jordan replies directly. I'm doing everything I can for you. When John heard this, he exclaimed angrily, It's none of your business. My father called while we were having this kind of conversation. I just got a call from my father. He has arrived. I then heard the doorbell ring. I apologize for bothering you. I could hear my father's voice. Oh, hello there, my dear. It's been a long time. My mother-in-law greeted him in an unusual manner. I'm sure she has never met my father before, but I speculate. I'm so glad you remember me. Please excuse me. But I'm here today as Sarah's father. Thank you for having Sarah. No, it's my pleasure. Everyone is expecting you. Please make your way this way. Thank you kindly. My father was led into the guest room after hearing this conversation. Good day, Jordan. It's been a while. When he saw my father enter the room, he abruptly stood up, erect and immobile. Oh, you were a colonel before you retired, I believe. Please forgive me, it's been a while. He saluted. He bowed his head 10 degrees forward with his hands by its sides in an abbreviated salute, because he was indoors and lacked a hat. The unexpected event made it difficult for both John and me to comprehend what was going on. Don't be so rigid. I was a colonel and you were a sergeant major a long time ago. After all, this is your house. You've made great strides. Wasn't it worth it for me to train you? Anyway, I'm sorry to bother you here, but please have a seat. Thank you. You should sit down too. You're making everyone uncomfortable standing here. Well, then, if you'll excuse me. The father-in-law sat down after saying that, but he sat down formally. Dad, do you know each other? I confirmed, as this was so unexpected. Yes, when I was in the Self-Defense Forces a long time ago, he came to us as a new worker. In contrast to my father, who spoke softly, who had been sitting on his haunches a moment before, curled up and shrunk back. Well, what a coincidence that we meet again like this. I heard that you are the president now. The dropout has come a long way, hasn't he? I apologize for the trouble I caused you when I was in the SDF. After retiring from the JSDF, I took over my father's company. And with all help, we've come this far. My father-in-law was trying to be polite during the entire conversation. He was in a red-faced. That lousy worker is now the president of the company. You're lucky to be president now. Well, can we stop talking about the old days? I wanted to hear the old story. I asked my father a question. Hey, you know what? Is Chief Petty Officer a big deal? You were a colonel, weren't you? Yeah, a sergeant major is like a section chief in a company. I was better positioned. My father-in-law nodded his head at that. I didn't know that John's partner was your daughter. My father laughed cheerfully. So, don't give me rank. I'm a retired civilian now. My father-in-law responded to these words, again with trepidation. He replied, "Yes, sir. I will do so, sir." "By the way," he said, straightening his back a little. He looked down at my father-in-law, who was curled up on his desk. "My daughter has told me many things about you. You've always had this weird obsession with being higher or lower than your partner. I told you to stop it, but you are still doing it. I heard you look down on our daughter and say she's poor." "That's right." My father-in-law shrank more and more. He said, "Yes, I am truly sorry. No, after I retired from the military, I took care of a company. You may have heard of it, called Star Heavy Industries. The president of the company is my cousin. He has ties to the self-defense forces, so he is now the head of the technical development department and a director." Again, my father told acquaintanceships. My father-in-law's eyes widened at this. Yes. Is it Star Heavy Industries?" "Yes, that's right. As I recall, our company and your company have a business relationship." "Yes, sir. Star Heavy Industry is an important business partner of our company, and we are always very grateful to you." "I'm not here to talk business, but as it is, I think we need to give it some thought." The pressure of the father looking down, and the father-in-law got nervous even more. I had been looked down upon as a poor woman for so long, and even told that I wanted to see my parents' faces. That was truly exhilarating for me. "No, that's very troubling." My father's tone became a little stern in reply. "Then, as a parent, shouldn't you give your blessing to John and Sarah's marriage? We're not as poor as you say." I was very sorry for my impoliteness. After saying this, the father-in-law bowed his head while sitting on his knees. "That's right. John and Sarah, this means that there is no more problem with their marriage." My father looked up at us and said, "All is settled." "Yes, thank you very much." John thanked him with a truly happy expression. "Thank you, Father." I thanked him too. Without my father, this might have not ended well. I was really glad that my father was there. My father-in-law kept his head down. "Chief Jordan!" She seemed to like the term Sergeant Jordan, and with her hands on her waist in a slumped posture, she ordered my father-in-law. "Even you! What are you talking about?" Jordan became quiet. My father looked at me and winked at me with a thumbs up. Then John and I had a successful wedding. Many of my father's college classmates attended the reception. My father graduated from the University of Defense. I guess everyone was a big man in the self-defense forces. Chief Jordan was made to stand upright, and everyone made fun of him. During the wedding entertainment, my father's classmates performed self-defense forces gymnastics. Of course, Chief Jordan was in charge of giving the order, and he led the group. We laughed out loud at the sight of these old men sweating and doing the exercises. Since that incident, whenever my mother-in-law had a request from my father-in-law, she would call him Chief Petty Officer Jordan, and speaks to him in a commanding tone. Now he can't stand her. I live a happy life with John. We are blessed with 2 boys. My father is so attached to his grandchildren that when he sees them, he looks too happy. One day, a friend who had worked with my father came to visit, And upon seeing him with his grandchildren, he said with a wry smile, "That man who was called the devil." He laughed bitterly at the sight of my father with his grandchildren. Today, my father and our children are playing hero in the garden. Miracle beam! Beep, 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 beep. Gee, I've been hit. My father and children were covered in mud. Oh my God, he's a boy, isn't he? I laughed with my mother. You kids, you could be real heroes in the future, you know. Go for it, future heroes.